After a short break, I am back talking about how we have the news of Bruce Jenner running for governor, okay? Now, don't believe your eyes here. Obviously, it'll say Caitlyn, but we all know Big Bruce is deep in there. Even with the fake boobs, it is still a man. Anyway, this is basically a little bit of a surprise. I had heard rumors that Bruce Jenner was going to run for governor of California, but at the same time, you would have to conclude that ultimately it is kind of silly for a transvestite, somebody who is mentally ill themselves, to think that they're capable of running a state, let alone a state that's already very democratic, and for a Republican nonetheless to think that he could win is kind of ridiculous. But anyway, yes, Caitlyn Jenner, as they call him, the former Olympic gold medalist and the decathlon turned TV star and transvestite activist, is now running for governor of California. His entry is basically trying to get rid of Gavin Newsom through the recall, which has been recently certified to be legit on the ballot coming up this year. Now, this is not unprecedented insofar as celebrities becoming political figures such as Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who won the last recall election against Gray Davis, who is a lot better of a governor than has been Newsom, for the record. Now, Newsom has a challenger with name recognition, which is kind of ironic because Bruce changed his name, and wealth. A lot of wealth, obviously he has money. That's a good thing to have if you're running for politics. He has filed the paperwork to run for governor, so that's pretty interesting. Now, this is what he said. California has been my home for nearly 50 years. I came here because I knew that anyone, regardless of their background or station in life, can turn their dreams into a reality. But for the past decade, we have seen the glimmer of the Golden State reduced by one-party rule that places politics and progress and special interest over people. Sacramento needs an honest leader with a clear vision. Now, again, this is not a good message. First of all, the Democrats don't care that they've been in power this whole time. And in order to win this election, you more or less need a good chunk of Democrats to vote for the Republican nominee. That being said, the appeal to say that, oh, well, we need somebody with a clear vision is ironic because obviously he has gender dysphoria or whatever you want to call it. So he does not have a clear vision, insofar as his own gender. Anyway, we're going to move on. Now, Jenner is 71. Yikes. Looks rough. Holy cannoli. We're going to click on this Wikipedia. Jesus Christ, he is gross. Gross. Now, he does have a net worth of approximately $100 million as of 7 years ago, which is interesting. And also, keep in mind that he's been married to 3 separate women, including Linda Thompson, who looks weird, and Kris Kardashian, who's a whore. 6 kids, including Kendall and Kylie, and they're both hot. Damn, that's funny. Anyway, he was in 2 Olympic Games or whatever. That's pretty good. And if we look at the background, again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this video because of constraints over, graduation and all this. But more or less, I can give you the synopsis through the Wikipedia page that, yes, he did grow up in a situation where he was called William Bruce Jenner, okay, in 1949. He kept that name until 2015. He had parents, both of them, which is a little interesting. He is of English, Scottish, Irish, Dutch, and Welsh descent, so he's a Euromutt. Okay, so his younger brother died in a car accident, which is funny because he ran over and killed somebody pulling out of his driveway as an adult male. Anyway, he's been diagnosed with dyslexia, which is a bad thing. Obviously, that means that you're going to be not very intelligent insofar as rating stuff. So that's not a good thing. And of course, he's very athletic because, again, you're not that smart of a person. If you have dyslexia, it's just very hard to pull off reading. So because of that, he became an Olympian athlete, and he got clout off of that. He capitalized on that fame by the 1970s by doing stuff like being... okay, he could have been Superman. He got close, okay? He got on all these magazines, was possibly going to be in the NFL, so that's pretty interesting. He obviously gets brand deals like the box of Wheaties, okay? So, again, he had some notoriety. Now, he's been on different movies, of course, different shows, documentaries about him, so he was a socialite in California. Of course, being on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which is gross. very vapid. Anyway, you move on. He has been in business a little bit, not anything serious, because of course, why would anybody of that caliber be in business anyway? Um, anyway, the point is that he obviously was a celebrity through his being an athlete, but other than that, he's not that competent outside of it, of course. Now, if we look at him, he came out as a transvestite April 2015. Remember, he was the original tranny, which is interesting because I remember seeing the tabloids, half a decade ago, and that's interesting. Now, he does say that he's never been attracted to men, but always to women, which is kind of weird, considering that he thinks he's a girl. But anyway, keeping in mind the difficulty people have, he did the full reassignment surgery, which is disgusting. Also, if you guys remember this garbage of a Vanity Fair cover, that was also something that got him a lot of media attention, mostly negative among Republicans. But again, these people are turning back like on a dime. Okay, he's ostensibly being very soft. Okay, now as he came out as a trans woman, as they call them, he has been, oh wow, GLAAD awards. I don't care. Yeah, so it's pretty disgusting. We don't want this normalization of trannies, obviously. And if we look here, Jenner is supposedly a Christian. Obviously, that's oxymoronic given the identity of this person. Says he's a conservative and a Republican. He describes himself as socially liberal and fiscally conservative, which is usually a red light because that normally means a rhino, liberal Republican, and or obviously like some sort of queer, which he is. Okay. He said he liked Ted Cruz in the 2016 primary, which is bizarre because, again, Cruz would have not liked him for being that. Also, he said that he did not support Donald Trump in 2016, okay, but that he would never support Hillary Clinton, which is reasonable. He said that he voted for Trump in 2016 after all, but the records show that she never voted for anybody, so she's lying. He's lying. Whoops. Okay, in February 2017, Trump rescinded federal requirements giving transgender students the right to choose the bathroom of their gender identity. Jenner tweeted, well, at Donald Trump from one Republican to another, this is a disaster. Okay, he's in favor of gay marriage, obviously. He was contemplating running for Senate in 2018. I guess he didn't run. Now he wants to run as a Republican, which is interesting to me, obviously, because, again, even if California is a liberal state, the Republicans in California are not necessarily Republican. And again, the last time a Republican was governor was, 2003, which was a special circumstance where you had split ballots and all this, So obviously, it's not very important to note necessarily that. Where am I getting at here? Look, I don't want to get banned for being transphobic or anything. Not that that's a real thing, but I just gotta say that this is ridiculous. He's not gonna win, and most importantly, I don't think that Caitlyn Jenner would probably be the nominee to begin with. And if we look at the history since Arnold Schwarzenegger's election, we see that California is not very favorable to Republicans, as you can see here. In 2002, in a red wave, a Republican got within 5, which is respectable. Now we move on to 2003, where there's a split ticket to an extent. With Tom McClintock, who obviously isn't a strong conservative as far as I can know, and Arnold still won bigly, okay, but that was 20 years ago, basically, the demographics being very different. Now in 2006, in a Democrat landslide election, Arnold Schwarzenegger held on because over time, as he campaigned as center-right, he moved to the center-left. If you follow the California politics from 15 years ago, you would know that. Jerry Brown comes back from the dead. He was governor in the 1970s in California, if I recall, and he won by about 13% in 2010, which is a red wave against Meg Whitman, who was the CEO of Hewlett-Packard, similar to Carly Fiorina. Now, Jerry Brown went against Neil Kashkari, who's some Paki, I think. Who cares? Anyway, he won by 20, which is a lot, in a red wave. Now, in a blue wave, Newsom was able to beat John Cox, who was supposed to be not necessarily that much of a liberal Republican, and still beat him by 23. Okay, so it's not to say that this is going to be close at all. So far, it's not looking good, and I would rather have Kevin Faulconer be the nominee. Okay, the best chance we have of having a Republican be governor is probably Kevin Lee Faulconer, who was in the San Diego City Council as well as mayor of San Diego, I believe, which is better than, let's say, John Cox, who got his ass kicked last time, or obviously Caitlyn Jenner, or whatever the hell he is, okay? That disgusting, not troglodyte, but just, a reprobate person. Reprobate. It's disgusting. I don't like it at all. And look, I want to be completely honest here. I don't think that we should have any transgenders running for any office at all, let alone the Republican primary. I don't care that it's California. I don't care if Bruce Jenner does slightly better among gay people or trans people or whatever. Those people are like 5% of the electorate if you're stretching it. So it's not worth it to double down on those people. And again, we are the conservative party. I don't care if we lose. We are probably going to lose anyway. So compromising with the Democrats and losing is not worth it. So again, anybody who's supporting Bruce or Caitlyn Jenner, whatever the fuck you want to call that disgusting person, is playing themselves. Okay, you're playing into the left hand. Okay, you're getting nothing done. He would never win. Okay, she or he or whatever would never win the election against Newsom. And honestly, put a gun to my head, I would vote for Newsom over Caitlyn Jenner any day, any fucking day. All right, Caitlyn Jenner or Bruce Jenner, whatever you want to call it, is disgusting. Needs to retire. Get help. Go to therapy. This is a mentally ill person. He cannot run a state. She cannot run a state. Whatever you want to do. I support a more liberal Republican that's a straight man than some transgender weirdo Kardashian, okay? Please, God, if we're going to run a Kardashian, give me Kanye. That's the closest thing I'll go to our Kardashian. I don't want none of this Jenner stuff, tranny gender stuff. Come on, have you guys seen South Park? It's a mess. Please, guys, do not support Bruce Jenner or whoever you want, whatever name, because again, it is immoral. It is gross what he's doing, and normalizing it is only going to make the party worse. And even if Jenner was to win, it would not be worth it because it is a transgender normalizing his mental illness. It's not worth it. If it was an election between Gavin Newsom and Bruce Jenner, I would vote for Gavin Newsom, okay? Because it's morally wrong to elevate somebody to power that's mentally ill, in my opinion, okay? That's my hot take. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching, and subscribe, obviously.